According to the Oxford English Dictionary, world building is the creation of an imaginary world, and its geography, biology, cultures, and more, especially for the use as a setting in science fiction or fantasy. The word itself didn't appear until the mid-20th century, around 1820, making it roughly only 200 years old, so still somewhat young. But this practice defined here reaches back through mythology, oral tradition, and even art. Today, world building isn't limited to books and the written arts. It's in almost every form of fictional media within the modern day, from things like video games, to movies, to TV shows, and this list goes on. Speaking of fantasy within the written arts, in his 1939 essay on fairy stories, J.R.R. Tolkien describes what he calls subcreation, the art of constructing a secondary world, so consistent and believable that it commands what he calls secondary belief. Or, as he describes, what really happens is that the story maker proves a successful subcreator. He makes a secondary world which your mind can enter. Inside it, what he relates is true. It accords with the laws of that world. You therefore believe it, while you are, as it were, inside. When we read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, or watch any of the film adaptations, we're not just following a story, we're entering a separate reality. Tolkien's secondary world. Middle-earth has its own language, geographies, histories, and myths, every detail from the names of mountains to the roots of Elvish words. This reinforces its internal logic. And that's what we do as writers, game developers, and storytellers. We subcreate. We build worlds within worlds. But those worlds also have rules. Game theorist Jesper describes games as quote-unquote half-real. More specifically, the rules of a game and the fictional world of a game are separate, but they affect each other. The rules point to a fictional world, and the fictional world motivates the players to accept and engage with the rules. In a high fantasy game like Baldur's Gate 3, those rules, aka your stats, dice rolls, resource management, spell slots, aren't barriers to the imagination. They're the framework that holds it together. The rules give the world weight, consequences, and meaning. Mechanics like dialogue checks or turn-based combat don't just guide your choices, they shape the reality of the world you're inhabiting. And this connection between rules and belief ties directly back to Tolkien's idea of how imaginary worlds function. If the rules of a world break their own logic, if something happens that doesn't fit the world's established truth, the illusion collapses. Or as Tolkien puts it, adding on to the same passage as before, the momentary disbelief arises, the spell is broken, the magic, or rather art, has failed. Mark J.P. Wolfe, in Building Imaginary Worlds, describes fictional universes as systems that function independently and consistently with their own logic. This made me think about the anime Delicious in Dungeon. A group of adventurers descend into a dungeon not just to fight monsters, but to survive by cooking and eating them. Every monster has an anatomy, every spell a cost, and every meal a method. When the party encounters a band of ghosts, but can't get rid of them because their cleric Phelan is missing, Senshi, the party's cook, brews a holy water concoction with great ingenuity. But what makes this so interesting is each added ingredient is hosted as a symbol of purity and cleanse from other in-world cultures and real ones. From the primal element of fire, to golden beetles, to booze, and even salt. Now, something I also found interesting about this is how it's presented as a strange idea at first, but it quickly unfolds as something pretty ingenious. By tying rope around the bottle of their now newly made holy water, it now serves as a brilliant crafted weapon. Due to their incorporeal nature, the physical glass of the bottle phases through the ghost of the dungeon. This allows not only for the holy water to make direct contact with the spirits, but they also never lose any of the liquid inside.
Holy water works, even in a jar.
This trade-off causes both the liquid and the glass to become chilled and frosted, because ghosts are cold? And what is the final result of this encounter?
It's sorbet.
Hell yes. A solution that not only follows the world's rules of both magic and cooking, but also gives us further structure in the world around them through a tasty treat. This is Wolfe's theory in motion, a world where creativity thrives because the system is coherent. Its rules don't limit the story, they make it believable. Across novels, films, tabletop campaigns, and digital games, worldbuilding works as the scaffolding of fiction, the underlying structure that makes imagined worlds feel stable, coherent, and believable. Whether it's Tolkien's Middle-earth, the Sword Coast in Baldur's Gate 3, or the dungeon ecology of Delicious in Dungeon, each world stands because its foundations hold. And the more we study how these worlds are built, how the scaffolding reinforces our imagination, the better we understand why some of them stay with us so long after we've closed the book or shut down the game.